Hi guys, it's Dare from Fire and Ice. We opened up a new segment called Dare Diaries where essentially we kind of pull in our community that is collectors, whether that's video games, trading cards, or anything in between, or just something, we're all universally kind of passionate about, and we sit down and kind of deep dive where they started and their favorite pieces in their collection. I brought 3 friends with me today. The first one.
Just one person.
I was about to say.
I think I'm just one person, but okay.
Well, you're the one of the 3.
Yeah. Right. I have 3 personalities, though.
Oh, so we have 6 people.
Yeah.
Sick. First question, what is your name and what do you do?
My name's Rick, and I've been a firefighter for 36 years because I'm old as
Dang.
And I did 20 in the military and then another 20 for DOD, and or almost 20 for DOD. And that's it. That's what I do.
Yeah, and so during that entire time period, were you collecting, or where did you kind of start with collecting?
No, so I was a poor airman, right? So I mean, So first of all, I started playing games when games first came out, which was like Pong, which there was no arcade, so it was like Pong in your skating rink, right?
Yeah.
So, but then started buying consoles, but I could only afford one at a time. And then whenever I was wanting to go to the next console, had to trade in that console and then all the games so I could afford to get the next one. So I never was ever able to collect at all. And even in our fire department, we would say, okay, like Super Nintendo was where I think departments for us was when we were actually all playing at night, right? We have a training TV, doing that stuff. And so it was kind of like, all right, what console are we going to get? Because we're all going to have to get the same console so that we can trade games to save money, right?
Which is brilliant.
Right. I think the only thing any of us ever bought multiples of was Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, because I'm from the big fighting game era, right? The 90s and stuff was huge. And it's I used to play little tournaments on Street Fighter. I used to be pretty good and that kind of thing. Play a couple guys for money. I'm not saying I was amazing or nothing, but I was pretty good.
But $5 is $5.
Yeah, but $5 is $5. Yeah, it's pretty good. So it was just something we did every night, right?
Yeah.
So as far as collecting, I had to wait till one of the kids moved out.
Gotcha.
So had a little extra money because gotten at least one of them through college, and I started collecting because I'm an idiot. So what happened was a buddy of mine were talking, and I was like, and we were just talking about how, man, I'd like to play some old games again. We're talking about old stuff, and I was like, dude, remember the Neo Geo that we used to go to Incredible Universe and just drool over, right?
Started on Neo Geo?
No. I never played
gotcha.
one because we could never get other than the arcade, because we could never get our hands on one. They were $600, and the games were $100 to $200 a piece.
Is a lot of money.
Yeah, when the Super Nintendo was like $150, right? But we would go to Incredible Universe and just drool over it, right? And just oh my god, I wish we could play that. And
wow, that'd be really cool.
so like an idiot, I told him, I was like, bro, we should buy one of those. I'll bet we can find one. They're probably dirt cheap. And then we'll buy a whole bunch of AES games, and it'll be a blast, man. Yeah. Then I started seeing some AES games for $7,000 a piece.
Yeah,
and
they're
the machine's
rare.
not too bad. It's come down, but the rest is just nightmare. So then we pulled out our old Xboxes, right? So I used to mod Xboxes, and I thought, oh, that'll be cool. And they had a 120 gig hard drive, which is a huge deal back in the day.
Yeah,
right?
I was about to say that was impossible to fill up then, which is now a whole Call of Duty update now.
Yeah.
Super different.
So I had it in, we got ours modded in UAE when I was deployed. And so we pulled them out and we started playing stuff. And then I got into the Xbox modding community, which I did not realize was huge at the time. It's still big.
Modding, especially with Microsoft and Xbox in general, is colossal.
Yeah. I mean, they have now they're doing HDMI outputs. We finally broke the 2 terabyte limit. So all the Xboxes I mod now, I put a 3 terabyte in them and stuff with a bunch of stuff, and it's a blast. So then him and I playing that stuff, and then we both wanted consoleized MVS because it's a lot cheaper than AES.
Yes.
So that was kind of one of the first things I saved up for and bought. And then because of playing all the retro games on the Xbox, it just got me wanting to get the actual real consoles, right? So little by little, I started buying stuff. And then, and I know you know about this, but most people don't. My first console as a kid was a Fairchild Channel F, right? It came out a year before the Atari 2600, and then the Atari 2600 just smoked it. I was the cool kid in the neighborhood for a year.
Yeah, I was about to say it was super cool, and then Atari came out, and that kind of kickstarted a lot of gaming.
Yeah, it was dead. But there was Jerry Lawson's my personal gaming hero if you've ever looked him up and stuff, and so anyhow, we just I just started buying little bits and pieces, and then it just, as more kids moved out, then I had more money,
More things coming.
right? And so I gave myself, because I was still pretty broke, just getting kids through stuff, and so I gave myself $100 a month was my budget.
I love that.
And I would come out of Denios, the flea market, with just bags. I would still go like twice a month and come out with like $50, just come out with bags and bags. And when I started collecting, the cheapest stuff was OG Xbox and PS2.
Yes, because that generation hadn't grown up yet, and it didn't really boom until the shutdown as is anyway.
Yeah.
So that was like prime. You could get everything for $1.
There was still some what I call Nintendflation. Anything with a Nintendo name cost more, whether it was good or not. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, no hate on Nintendo. I love them. You know, I have actually started to appreciate a lot of other consoles I could never play back in the day because I couldn't afford it, like the Genesis. Oh my God.
Jesus, incredible. It's hard though.
Yeah.
I die on the hill. The Genesis games were built for Soulsborne players. I don't know what it is. Lion King's Genesis. Never finishing it, and that's fine.
I think
I'm never finishing it.
I got a Turbo Duo, that's been modded, so I can play it's RGB modded, and then of course it's region free, so that's a blast. I love some turbo graphics I've learned a lot about. And then, oh my God, the Vectrex is like one of the greatest things ever created.
Forgot that existed for a second.
Yeah, I think it was 1982 for 1 year by Milton Bradley, but if you've ever seen it, because I know you've seen it, the whole vector graphics thing and Berserk, I love that game and stuff, so... Oh my God.
Amazing anime too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, there's no anime about the Berserk character. Yeah, no, I got what you're saying. No, so that's how I got into it. And then I used to say 90% of my collection is from, actually more, thrift stores, flea markets, yard sales, all that kind of stuff. I got like a Atari Jaguar for $25 with like 6 games.
She's incredible.
Yeah, because the gal was like, I don't know, my son left it here. I don't know what this is. And I was like, $25? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like running away from the place.
Yeah, because back then, I mean, there really wasn't a demand for collecting at all. Like, I know for me, I'm 18, 19 years in, and my dad and I used to go to yard sales, and you would have $10 and you walked out with stacks of games. Like, I got all my Fantastic N64s that way. Like, it was so easy to get stuff then, and so $100 budget. Like if I, as a child, had a $100 budget, I'd have balled out.
Oh,
I'd have had so much fun.
We were just raking them in, and thank God, one of the first things I decided I want to do is like, I want every horror game on PS2.
I was about to say, that is such a godsend to get before the boom. Oh my God.
Oh man, because I'm like, Kuon, $15. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Rule of Rose, I think that one I did pay like $40. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the other, I call them the Trilogy of Terror. You know what I mean? You got Haunting Ground, Rule of Rose, and Kuon, right?
Yep.
And I think I got all of them for under $50, at the time and stuff. So
yeah, and even then with those games, especially Rule of Rose and Kuon having such big controversies around their U.S. releases in general, like getting those even at $40 is such a steal. But I know at that point in time was kind of like, it's $40 for a PS2 game. But yeah, that's an insane grab.
That's
nuts.
Yeah. So I got lucky. Look, I'm not going to admit. The NES stuff was kind of rising already, and some of the Super Nintendo stuff had kind of risen. There's a few things like Evo and a couple others that were worth some stuff. And I think everybody thought Conquer for 64 was just going to blow up, because back then it was running like, I think it was running about $80 when I first started collecting already for whatever reason, while everything else was dirt poor. I did spend $100 on that one because I got it in the box with the original receipt.
I love that because there's a huge chunk of my collection where if it has the OG receipts, I keep them just as like, what did this person pay at the time for them? So I freaking love that.
Oh,
I love that so much.
It was $80.
Really?
Yeah, because a lot of people are like, oh, it was cheap. I'm like, no, man.
I was about to say, not then.
No, 64 was pretty pricey. I think a lot of people don't know because I'm not ragging on anybody, because they were kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they don't know. They're like, no, it's like, it was pretty pricey back then. Now for us, I had the PlayStation at the time, PlayStation 1. That's what our department decided we were going to buy, right? So somebody found out they made a chip for it. Somewhere I have a picture of me with 5 PlayStation 1s laying on a table, and I'm sitting there I was the designated chip guy. So I had to put chips, and then we would download the ROMs from, or images or whatever, from online. Well, half of them were Japanese.
Yep.
So it's like I had just stacks of discs burned that were Japanese. And of course, I think it was might have even been dial-up modem back then. So it was like,
Your
hey,
mom
man,
gets on a phone call and you're kicked off.
yeah. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna download this
ever.
game. It's gonna take me like a week,
Yep.
But we get them just to save. Like I said, we were all broke. We
Yeah.
all had young kids at that time and stuff. So so I mean that's pretty much it. And then I had a little game room in my room, and now I got a half a garage, and I'm actually in the process of blowing out the other wall because I got no room.
I was about to say, because you have some cool stuff. Because you said you started modding original Xboxes, is that why some of your really cool grails that you have are in Xbox? Because you have some insane Xbox original stuff, like your orange controller, for anyone that doesn't know what that is.
The Xbox Live controller.
The Hello Kitty console, which
no, I built that one.
I love it though. It's so cute. And then you have the Xbox kiosk. Like you have really cool Xbox stuff.
I think for me when it first started, it was like the Xbox stuff was cheaper than the PlayStation 2 stuff when I started collecting, right?
Yeah.
Like when I got when I picked up the trying to think the dinosaur game, you know what I'm saying? The Jurassic thank you. Like I picked up Jurassic Park. Yeah, and I picked up Futurama at the same time. I actually picked it up at the game show.
Oh,
right?
sick.
The Sacramento Sac Gamers Expo, when it, like the first year they had it, right? And the guy was like, and I don't remember what they cost, but I remember they were a lot cheaper than the PlayStation 2. And the guy was like, I got the PlayStation 2 ones right here. And I'm like, yeah, but
it's like double the price.
I want the I was like, I want the Xbox ones. Oh, they were $25 a piece because they were going for 50, but he didn't even pay attention because he was all about the PlayStation 2.
Yep.
So I think for me it was like, and then the other thing too is like, I look, I'm not a fanboy of anything, right?
Yeah.
Like, 'cause I don't ride or die with any company. But at the time when the Xbox came out, I mean, let's be honest, most of the games that came out for all three systems was better on the Xbox because some games would even go 1080i, 720p. It was a stronger system. And then of course mine was modded, so I had everything in it. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say it, but it was, the thing was a brick. I mean, G4 did that thing where they were like, "What's better, PlayStation 2 as far as durability, Xbox, PlayStation 2, or GameCube?" And they were like hitting it with something and throwing it off a building.
Yeah, you'd see the videos of like, "Oh, let's do a drop test," and you chuck it downstairs, and which one is still in one piece.
Yeah, the PlayStation 2 like exploded the very first time. It wasn't until they made the Slim that they had something that was kind of durable. So. So I don't know, I just kind of got into Xbox, and then I got into that community through, well, you're right, through modding, and then the other guys, and then I started seeing all this cool stuff, and it was cheaper than PS2, and I'm pretty frugal, so.
Which is a good thing in collecting, because you're going to spend an insane amount of your lifetime on video games if you're collecting.
Yeah.
Even if you get them all for $5, you get enough of them, that's a lot of money. So.
Some years, some game expos, I'll spend now at a game expo what I used to spend for like a year and a half back in the day, right? It's kind of embarrassing. But I save up all year. I put a little bit away each month. I mean, it's not like some collectors. I'm still MVS all the way. I'm not going to get into something super pricey like that. No, so I don't know. I just kind of got into it. I really liked the system. I just liked everything about it. And then once you get into that rare stuff, it just becomes a thing. Right?
And then you're itching for a piece that connects to it or something that kind of fits sentimentally to you, which you have a graded piece I wanted to ask you about. It's your prize game.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah. You want to talk about it? Because I've been itching to hear about it. Kind of like super bad.
So real quick, it's funny because it's not even a game, which is funny about it. But it's the thing that, it's not the rarest thing I own. It's pretty rare. I haven't seen them sold online. Usually it's private collectors, which is how I got it. So like Xbox Darkroom, the guy that works for WADA, that's a friend of mine, he actually ended up getting 2 of these, and then he sold me one. That's how I got it, because he's like, dude, I know you want one, blah, 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 blah. So anyhow, so what happened was they came out with Project Gotham Racing for their OG Xbox, and you know how there's those placeholders at like GameStop, right? Yeah. So back then they'd show the real cover, they just didn't have the game in it yet. And so this was Project Gotham Racing, but it had the Twin Towers in it.
Yes.
And so when 9/11 happened, then they ordered every place to return them or destroy them. And so they were all supposed to be destroyed. Of course, some of them survived. Yeah. And it took me probably 6 years to track one down. I had a deal with a guy in France, and at the last minute he backed out because he said it was I didn't realize what a sentimental attachment I had to it. And I was like, okay, so like I'm a firefighter who was at work in the fire department when I watched that god awful thing happen. So I don't know how sentimental it is to you there guy from France, but and I found out later he raised the prices why he really backed out.
Yeah, yeah, because so it definitely spiked because of the Twin Towers and everything like that. But the way that recalls work, so there was a 12-year span where I worked in like Sony, Xbox, and Nintendo through GameStop and stuff like that. And so when they do a recall, you're expected to either take everything outside and chuck it into the dumpster, or cut the discs with a razor, or you would mail them back depending on what they chose. And in very rare instances, they would, be like, just throw it away.
Oh, okay.
And so there was groups of managers that obviously not everyone follows the rules like they should. And so they would take those recalled games, and that's why you see a lot of them in the wild. And I kind of explain that to customers when they come in. They see not for resale cartridges or like kiosk demo cartridges. It's like those were originally meant to be mailed back, and there are situations where Nintendo or PlayStation or Xbox is like, just throw it away. And every collector in existence is like, but it only existed in this spot. And so naturally, people don't typically do that. So that's, if I had to guess, that's probably how the copy that you had came about, is there was a point in time where someone was like, yeah, I'm going to keep this actually. Especially with, what happened and why it was being recalled. That's almost a historical piece at that point. So. And
that's why I got it. And I sent it into WADA because I was like, I just wanted it graded genuine, right? I didn't really care about I have a couple graded things, but I just care that it just shows that they're real.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny too, because the guy I bought it from, again, he works for WADA. So when I texted him, I was like, hey man, just want to let you know I sent that in. He's like, yeah, my team called me from Mexico while I'm on vacation. So to talk about it, because I don't know that they've seen one before. So
yeah, it's rare. We do have about like a minute left. Is there anything closing wise that you want to point out, whether it's just the new generation collectors or anything like that?
I think, and I don't want to sound like the grumpy old man, right? but there's something, I think just a little, I don't want to end on a negative note, but I just want to say like fanboys, right? People that just ride or die for one system. I'm like, come on, man, you have to embrace all systems. Every system right now has good stuff. And I think when people just embrace one system and that's it, and to the point where they say all their systems suck, it's like, come on, man. I got 48 different consoles if you count handhelds, and they all have redeeming qualities.
Yes.
I
agree with that 1,000%, because there's a lot of consoles that I had that I never played because I wasn't a fan of the system. And going back as an adult, so I didn't start playing Mario games until like 4 years ago.
No way.
And I had been collecting for near 19 years, and so there was 15 years.
What is wrong with your childhood?
My dad played RPGs, and so I did. And so it was just, I went back and played it, and I was like, I literally wasted so much time not playing Mario. So I agree with that 1,000%.
It's like, here, honey, I know you're 5. Play Final Fantasy.
He did. That's the thing.
That's actually pretty cool, actually.
Right,
I'm not giving
my
you
dad's
shit.
a G. He's kind of awesome.
Right on. Yeah, that's what I hear.
But either way, thank you.
Dave?
I love you to bits and pieces. I'm so stoked that
You're
I got
awesome.
to hear a lot of it.
Sorry, I blathered on, hon. All right.
I love when you blather. Thank you.
Okay, you take care.
You did great.